Chapter 24. Be not thou envious against evil men, neither desire to be with them, for their heart studieth destruction, and their lips talk of mischief. How true that is. Evil men, how they study destruction. They don't just stumble into it often. Usually they'll connive about how to do evil because they're so dead set on it. So chapter 24 begins by talking about how the evil destroy things. And then it moves on to how those with wisdom build things. Through wisdom is a house builded, and by understanding it is established. And by knowledge shall the chambers be filled with all precious and pleasant riches. And for the most part in Proverbs, whenever you're reading about a promise of riches, it's usually going way beyond the earthly riches, which are very temporary and which go away. Jesus spoke of true riches, though. If therefore, Jesus said, if therefore ye have not been faithful in the unrighteous mammon, if you can't use earthly money well, if you can't be trusted with that, who will commit to your trust the true riches? To which may in part be pointing towards those heavenly rewards, but also, I believe, the here and now true riches that can be given from heaven, that of the love and knowledge of God, these spiritual riches that we have, which go far beyond rubies, is the gospel of Christ. A wise man is strong, yea, a man of knowledge increaseth strength, for by wise counsel thou shalt make thy war, and in multitude of counselors there is safety. Now I do have one quick note on this, for by wise counsel thou shalt make thy war. We don't necessarily have to just include that of earthly wars, governments going to earthly wars, though that could be implied, how you should plan out something if you must go to war, but also that of spiritual warfare, in which we know that we fight not against flesh and blood, but against powers, principalities, satanic forces and things like this. We must, prayer and the word of God, these are our weapons, faith. So the weapons of our warfare, we know, are not carnal. They're not of the flesh. It's a spiritual war. So by wise counsel, if there's a war going on in your life, seek wise counsel. Verse 7, wisdom is too high for a fool. He openeth not his mouth in the gate. He that deviseth to do evil shall be called a mischievous person. Now, of course, this at the gate is the place of judgment. And Matthew Poole had a short note on this. He openeth not his mouth at the gate. He knows not how to speak acceptably in the public assembly. And what verse 8 is talking about, he that deviseth to do evil, meaning connives to do evil, shall be called a mischievous person. That means that their secret evil that they've been planning, that they think no one will find out about, that they'll get away with, it'll soon be found out that they're the culprit behind such evil plans, and then their reputation will be marred, and they'll be marked as an evil person or a mischievous person. Verse 9, the thought of foolishness is sin. The very thought of foolishness is sin. Ain't that something? And the scorner is an abomination to men. Now see this right here, this really puts everyone on a level playing field, because we know how often our thoughts can get away from us, being of the flesh, the brain being so cursed and everything, how random thoughts that you really do not like at all, I know because I have them all the time. Thoughts that you hate seem to just pop in there all the time. See, this renders everyone sinners. Many people say, well, I don't sin, I go days without sinning, and I know your very thoughts. The thought of foolishness is sin. To which verse 9 is followed up with verse 10, and this is really an exhortation to courage. If thou faint in the day of adversity, thy strength is small. Meaning, have courage. Don't faint in the day of adversity. Have strength. If thou forbear to deliver them that are drawn unto death, and those that are ready to be slain, which is speaking of rescuing the innocent from the wicked, be it in the physical sense or even in the spiritual sense, that of, he that winneth souls is wise. But then we see in verse 12 how the sentiment continues. If thou sayest, behold, we knew it not, doth not he that pondereth the heart consider it? Speaking of God. And he that keepeth thy soul, doth he not know it? And shall not he render to every man according to his works? Now, once again, in the context of verses 11 and 12 is that of rescuing the innocent from the wicked. So if you see wicked men afflicting innocent persons and you do nothing about it, and then later on you say, I didn't know what was happening, God knows. And for such an action shall a man receive his just reward, be it good or bad. Now for verse 13, my son, eat thou honey, because it is good, and the honeycomb, which is sweet to thy taste. So shall the knowledge of wisdom be unto thy soul. When thou hast found it, then there shall be a reward, and thy expectation shall not be cut off. Speaking of how wisdom is as sweet as honey. Lay not wait, O wicked man, against the dwelling of the righteous. Spoil not his resting place. For a just man falleth 7 times, and riseth up again, but the wicked shall fall into mischief. Saying that no matter how often that a just man, or that of a Christian, in whom has faith in God, God will raise us back up. 7 times is a whole number, meaning complete and total. There's ultimate victory for us, no matter how much that they try to kill us. Fear not him in whom killeth the body, but cannot touch the soul, but fear him in whom can destroy both body and soul in hell. But now we come to verse 17, in which is a warning to us Christians. Rejoice not when thine enemy falleth, and let not thine heart be glad when he stumbleth, lest the Lord see it, and it displeases him, and he turn away his wrath from him. Fret not thyself because of evil men, neither be thou envious at the wicked. For there shall be no reward to the evil man. The candle of the wicked shall be put out. My son, fear thou the Lord and the king, and meddle not with them that are given to change. For their calamity shall rise suddenly, and who knoweth the ruin of them both? These things also belong to the wise. It is not good to have respect of persons in judgment. Meaning, if a celebrity goes to trial, it is not good for a judge to look at them and say, oh, I've seen you on TV, therefore you're free to go. That's wicked. No, everything should be on an equal level. He that saith unto the wicked, thou art righteous, him shall the people curse. Nations shall abhor him, if you call a wicked man righteous. But to them that rebuke him shall be delight, and a good blessing shall come upon them. Every man shall kiss his lips that giveth the right answer. Prepare thy work without, and make it fit for thyself in the field, meaning prepare thy work outside. And afterwards build thine house. Now, of course, the lesson being taught right there is pretty obvious if you just read it as it is. Method and work is here advised. In the spiritual life too, though, there's something for us to apply spiritually with this. In the spiritual life too, we should seek to perceive and know what things we ought to do. Plan ahead is the lesson right here. Verse 28, be not a witness against thy neighbor without cause. It doesn't say don't go against your neighbor for anything. It says without cause, don't do such. And deceive not with thy lips, don't lie about them. Say not, I will do so to him as he hath done to me. I will render to the man according to his work. Now, the New Testament is really emphatic on principles like this. In James 2:13, it says, Jesus says, forgive others, just as your heavenly Father forgives you. What reward have you if you only forgive those in whom love you? We are to go above and beyond that of the flesh, my friends. The flesh is dead set on death, hell, and the grave. So it's going to think of the most evil things all the time. It runs contrary to God constantly. And this is why Paul the Apostle says, walk in the Spirit, not in the flesh, because every single thing of the flesh is wicked and evil. So we as Christians are to do those extraordinary things, those things foreign to the flesh, because the things of the Spirit are going to be foreign to the flesh. Isn't it such a contrary thing to think, love my enemy? Forgiving is one thing, but to love them? They hate me. Why should I love them? Because you are of God. And whenever you was an enemy of God, God forgave you. So now you are to forgive your enemies. So if you are being tested in such a way where someone is being allowed to hate on you, even publicly, even in front of your friends and family and your neighbors, if someone is outright hating on you and you're wondering, why does God allow this to keep happening? Why doesn't he just take that person away out of my presence? Why doesn't he protect me against such? Well, you're being tested. It's all part of a great test. And Jesus promises that there's a reward for those in whom love their enemies. Because believe me, my friends, God is all powerful. He can take that enemy of yours and he can cast them into the furthest sea at the lowest part of the ocean, and you'd never ever see them for all eternity. But he's allowing them to come against you in order for you to have a test. And you and I are being graded on how we react. We are to be conformed to the image of his Son. And Jesus forgave his enemies when they were plucking his beard, spitting in his face, putting a crown of thorns upon him, punching him, and saying, "Who punched you?" We are to love our enemies. You are being tested. Say not, "I will do so to him as he hath done to me." But anyway, let's move on. Verse 30. I went by the field of the slothful, that of the lazy man, and by the vineyard of the man void of understanding. And lo, it was all grown over with thorns, and nettles had covered the face thereof, because they were so lazy they didn't get out and tend to their vineyards and gardens and everything, so it's all grown up. This also has a very figurative image to it. And the stone wall thereof was broken down. Then I saw, and considered it well. I looked upon it, and received instruction. Yet a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep. So shall thy poverty come as one that travaileth, and thy want as an armed man. Poverty seeking after you like a robber in the night. You don't have to move at all. Poverty is coming to you.